Hello, and welcome to the Carlisle Community Forum, June 20th, 2017. I'm Doug Stevenson, and I'm very pleased to be the host today. I'm a former selectman here in Carlisle, and very happy to have a panel of folks to talk to today about all great things going on in Carlisle. Way down at the end of the table is Betty Lang from the Carlisle Friends of the Council on Aging. David Klein, our Council on Aging Director. Angela Smith, our Council on Aging Outreach and Program Coordinator. And today's special guest, Bill Curry, whom I will introduce in a moment. Just want to give everybody a warm welcome to summer. We're starting to feel the great summer weather that we can enjoy here in Carlisle and elsewhere in New England. Hopefully everybody's had a chance to enjoy some of my favorite activities in the spring and summer in Carlisle, and I'm sort of thinking about the things that we all do as town and intergenerational activities, starting early in the spring with the Mosquito Trash Party, and then Patriots Day, and of course Memorial Day, which we observe in May. And recently, we had the Strawberry Festival and, of course, our annual Old Home Day celebration. So hopefully folks of all ages have had a chance to get out and enjoy all of some of Carlisle's greatest and fun activities. I'd like to turn things over to either Angela or Dave to give a warm welcome from the Council on Aging.
Thanks, Doug. But I realize our guest actually needs to get moving, so I'm only going to say one thing, and that's that September is intergenerational month, and normally we speak to just activities that are going to occur over the next month or two, but I want to do since it's on the cover of our newsletter, just mention of hold the date for September 23rd. There's going to be a Grandparents' Day celebration at the Gleason Public Library. It's a free drop-in event from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. and it'll include activities for all ages. There'll be a jazz band, light refreshments, and it's all hands on deck in terms of support for this event. We've got support from the Carlisle Cultural Council, from the Friends of the Gleason Public Library, the Friends of the Carlisle Council on Aging, and this is just in continuing with the tradition of an intergenerational activity that started, well, it's been going on for a long time, but you recall when you were selectman, we were just on the cusp of winning that national award for best intergenerational community. So one of the precepts of that was that we were going to, not just win this award and then disappear, but keep on trying with new efforts. And the latest thing, one of the biggest trends in our discussions in the Council on Aging is rights of grandparents. So there's this event coming up on September 23rd, and when you do get your newsletter, there's an incredibly cool graphic from David Friedman. I wanted to point that out and give Dave credit. He does so much graphic work around town that I think that he doesn't always get credit for. So that's about all that I have at the moment, Doug.
Great, thank you, David. Angela, did you have anything?
Yeah, I think we'll let Bill start.
Super. All right, as I said, today's special guest is Bill Curry, who's the owner and CEO of the New England Home Medical Equipment Company in Chelmsford. And we're very pleased to have Bill here today to talk about the services and equipment that his company provides to folks in the area. Bill was born and raised in Lowell, just next door. Spent much of his life in the plumbing and contracting world, and some time in the distribution world. And through some consulting jobs that he had, he discovered the need and the business of home medical equipment. And so 2 years ago, in 2015, Bill founded the New England Home Medical Equipment Company. And they provide both equipment and I'm sure advice and use for both younger disabled folks as well as older and elderly folks who are in need of specialty equipment to do just ordinary tasks and live their lives in a better way. So with that, I'm going to let Bill give just a brief introduction about what the New England Home Medical Company does.
Oh, thanks, Doug. But I'm interested. My wife and I have 11 grandkids, so I'm interested to find out what the rights of grandparents are. Well, thanks, Doug. As you mentioned, we started the business 2 years ago, but it's been a slow start. This is a government-controlled, to speak, regulated, highly regulated industry, and so it takes a couple of years to get a company through all the processes of certifications and contracts with insurance providers and so forth. But we're a full-service, what's called DME, durable medical equipment. That's the industry that we're in, and we're a full-service durable medical equipment provider. We service, up until recently, we only serviced eastern Massachusetts and southern New Hampshire, but in May, we received a contract from the state to provide diabetic supply services across the state. So now we've expanded that service, and we're now covering the entire state of Massachusetts. The business is an interesting business in the sense that in 2013 there was a major change in our industry. They came out with what was called competitive bid. Medicare wanted to make our industry more competitive. Even though we were only 3% of the entire healthcare budget, they kind of zeroed in on us because we were sort of the low-hanging fruit and easier to control. So they've managed to cut our share of the budget from 3% to 2% since 2013, while the number of people that we serve has increased, particularly where a large portion of our clients are seniors, and the population of seniors has increased. So they've done that by restricting who can provide what. In 2013, there were over 100 companies like ours in Massachusetts. Today, there's about 60. And what's happened is a lot of the Medicare business has been condensed into only 2 or 3 providers, which we're not one of them because we weren't around in 2013. And it's made it difficult for seniors, particularly, to get service when they need service because these 2 or 3 companies are overloaded. They're just and the budgets that they have to work on to make it very, very difficult for them to provide services. So it's a challenge. So if you need to be on top of this, you need to know where you can go to get services. If you go to the Medicare.gov website, you can see who the providers are, and you can see who provides what. So if you needed a hospital bed, if you needed respiratory equipment, if you needed wheelchairs, there's different providers approved for different things. So it's good to know where you can go so you're not searching in a pinch for that. But it's a wonderful industry. I'm glad that we've gotten into it. Yeah.
Right. Maybe you should give some more examples about the types of specific equipment that are available from your company, and maybe the most popular, what you see most people requesting or needing for services. Certainly.
Well, aside from the diabetic supplies, we do a lot of supplies. Incontinence supplies, urological supplies. We have a large base of customers, which on a monthly basis we ship them their supplies. That's a big part of our industry, our particular business. Another big part of our business is what's called complex rehab, which would be mobility equipment, so that powered wheelchairs and manual wheelchairs. And when I say manual wheelchairs, people generally think of the traditional wheelchair, but manual wheelchairs cover a very large spectrum of products, and most people really are in the wrong wheelchair. They're in a standard wheelchair that they buy, and it's the wrong product for them, and from that they develop conditions that they wouldn't have developed if they had been in the proper equipment. So we're somewhat specialized in that. We have Angela has met Derek Logan, who is our ATP. He's also a physical therapist, and so I was looking at a chair just this morning that's going out to somebody, and the complexity of these products is amazing, and you need to really have the right people helping you with these products. We also do the standard DME products, which would be your walkers and commodes and things like that. We do a lot of compression products. We do a lot of compression sleeves and compression gloves. That's a big part of our business. Medicare covered diabetic shoes. Every day we're fitting a couple of folks for diabetic shoes, and it's a very we use high technology to do that, laser fitting almost. It's a pretty impressive machine that we use. And that's a big part of our industry, and that's a hard thing to find. There's not too many people that do that, so we have people traveling quite long distances to come to us to have that service provided. Again, this is that issue that's going on with so few providers now in the industry. It's a challenge. It's a challenge. One of the products that we sell, our category of products is aids to daily living, which is products that people don't even know exist. And we have them. We have a store in Chelmsford, and people come in, and they come in looking for one thing, and while they're there, they discover these great products that we have, and things like weighted utensils, which make it very, very much easier to hold. If people have issues where they have a hard time holding on to, these weighted utensils are a saver. I mean, they're just a wonderful thing. We have devices to help people dress themselves, put their socks on. We have reaches, specialty reaches for grabbing products. The list goes on. And we, you know, it's kind of a shame because people don't know these products exist, and we love to help. We love to help people out by introducing these products to them.
And that wouldn't be, sorry to interrupt, but that wouldn't be just for seniors necessarily, but anybody who's disabled or...
No, absolutely.
I was saying to Bill before the show, I know an older gentleman who has just a little nerve shaking, and I wasn't aware of the whole weighted spoon and what have you, and I just thought of the example where I'd seen him recently with a paper plate, and he was shaking, and if he just had a heavier plate, the shake would probably be significantly diminished, just like a weighted spoon or fork or utensil, what have you.
Absolutely.
The other thing I was reading in some of the material here was that, and I wasn't aware of this, that many or most of the falls for, I think, seniors occur in bathrooms.
Right.
And so, do you sell many of the products?
We do.
I mean, they talk about grab bars and...
Yes, we do. Grab bars, seats that let you sit in the seat and then slide your way into the tub. We even sell... we even work with other providers to provide shower stalls that you can ride your wheelchair into, or you don't have to step in, you can walk right into them. And the second highest cause of people who end up back in the hospital after coming home from the hospital with a condition, the first is improper use of their medications. The second is falls, and most of those falls do happen in the bathroom. And you don't only have to have grab bars, but you have to have the right grab bars, and you have them in the right places. We have raised toilet seats, so people, and toilet seats with arms, so people can help get up, you know. And that's a good example. When you're on a commode and you want to get up, what you don't want to do is reach across to a grab bar and pull yourself up. That's not the safe way to get up. The safe way to get up is to grab the handles and lift yourself up this way. So it's not just having the tools, but having the right tools in the right places in that room.
Now, so do you provide sort of training, like you were just explaining about how to use these things when you sell a product?
Yes, that's one of the things that is a specialty to our industry is everything we sell we train, and in many cases we install them. Mm-hmm. So it's not just, you know, if you needed a cane, it's not just, oh, here's a cane, you know. No, we fit the cane. The cane, there's different heights, there's different grips. You know, you have to have the right cane. Every product is special to what your needs are, and like snowflakes, you know, no two are exactly alike. Everybody has a little bit of nuance to what they need, and there's a lot of variety out there. There's a lot of things that, unfortunately, Derek is consistently being called in to help people who have been put into a product and it's the wrong product. It was either they were put into the wrong product at the beginning, or their condition has changed and the product just isn't right for them any longer. Medicare allows you to change a device every 5 years, and they base that on it wearing out more than anything else. But the reality of it is people's condition changes, and you know what they're originally measured for today, 3 years from now, can be totally different, and they need totally different equipment. We can help them with that. We can help go through the processes of being able to get a piece of equipment when they need it, not when the government says, okay, it's time for you to get a new piece of equipment.
And we're going to try to get Derek to another show and have him bring
Great.
a wheelchair here and take it apart. So we'll get to see the differences and why somebody who has to spend a good portion of their time in a wheelchair should have a specialized one.
Yes, I was fascinated to read about some of the material here, sort of the elderly woman sort of slouched down in the wheelchair, which you see frequently, and just what you were saying,
Right.
she's in the wrong chair.
Right.
There's a better chair that could probably change her entire lifestyle, would change how people would actually look at her and see her as a vibrant person, as opposed to somebody that's just sort of slouched down in a chair that basically
Crumpled in.
Yeah.
Bill,
Yes.
what furniture type things do you offer? Do you offer the stairs that go up?
Yes, we have the stair lifts, we have ramps, we have elevators. Because a lot of people, their stairs are too narrow to put a stair lift on, or the stairs might curve around.
Really?
And we actually have elevators now that they can get in an elevator and raise them up one floor. Getting more and more popular, Betty, elevators. We're seeing more and more of those go out. Unfortunately, those products are not covered by insurance. So, there's a limited audience to who can have one of those products. But there are a lot of social services that are out there, and there's a need. Somebody always seems to come through for somebody, so, it helps. And we do our part to try and, do what we can do to make it as affordable as possible for people.
Do you work with the home modification program for people to get loans
Yep.
at zero or low cost
Yep.
to do those kinds of
Yep.
changes?
Absolutely, we do, Angela. Ramps are big, there's a lot of ramps, but there's a lot of different kinds of ramps, and you want to make sure you have the right ramp, the right pitch to it. Sometimes they'll have a small amount of space and they'll pitch it too much to try and cram it in, and that can be very dangerous. So we do a lot of lift chairs too. Lounge chairs that have lift mechanisms to them. The lift mechanism is covered by insurance. A lot of people don't know that, and the lift mechanism is covered by insurance, and so we do a lot of those chairs.
So how does the
doorknob extensions to make doorknobs easier. Instead of a knob, a handle is better, but a lever handle is better. But sometimes you can just get a simple extension for a knob to put over a knob, which makes it a lot easier to grip. You can even get devices for your car handles to make your car handles easier to maneuver and work.
Lots of things we don't.
You don't know they exist.
Normally see.
Right. Yep. Absolutely.
That was going to be my question. So how do people sort of get from here to here? Because there's a lot of people out there who are not going to be watching this show, so they're not going to get this great information.
Right.
But
No,
when they go to their primary care physician, or does the primary care physician sort of prescribe things like either grab bars, or do they suggest these things to folks, or how does it?
If they know about them, if they know about them, and the things like the grab bars and the home safety, the bath safety, none of that's covered by insurance. If you're a Medicaid patient, you can sometimes get coverage on some of those products. But if you're a Medicare patient or you have a standard private insurance program, those things aren't covered. So, maybe, these things are very available in a lot of places. I mean, you can find them on the internet. The benefit of going to a DME company like ours is that they can know about everything, and they're going to help you. They can talk about your condition and what your needs are, and they can say, okay, I'm going to tell you what's available for you. Where if you're doing it on your own, you're kind of searching in the dark a little bit. But
So you have a lot of experienced staff to help.
we do, yeah, we do, absolutely. We have 14 employees right now, and every one of them has been in the industry for a number of years, every one of them, so.
Good.
I'm the only rookie.
So, and I assume you said you have a physical showroom that people can
Yes,
come
we
to,
have a
but-
physical showroom in Chelmsford on Alpha, which is right down the street from the DPW office in Chelmsford, off Baraca Road.
But I'm assuming for many people who are either disabled or have physical challenges, going to a showroom isn't the most ideal way to view products. Do you have an online catalog
We
as
do,
well?
we do. We have a website, and all the products on the website. And if people are able to come to our showroom, of course, it's accessible to anybody. And you're going to get so much more if you go. And there are other showrooms out there. There are other stores out there. We're not, as I say, there's still 60 of us in the state, so there are others out there. Honestly, I'm trying to think. We're only about 12 miles from Carlisle, so we're probably the closest to Carlisle. But there are others out there. I believe there's one in Acton. So
No, they're gone.
they're gone. Okay.
And do you or other firms like yours provide sort of a home consultancy type business where you go out, if somebody's having challenges, you go to the home?
Yes, we actually work with OTs. When somebody is discharged from a skilled nursing facility, one of the services they get out of that is they have an OT go to their home and assess the home and to see if whatever they need, be it a ramp or be it bath safety equipment, whatever. And what we provide is we provide someone to meet the OT and work with the OT to turnkey the whole process, to identify, work with them on what the best products are, because we're up to date with everything that's new and coming out there, and the OTs may not be, and so we help them with that, and we actually will take it right through installation, and we'll handle the installation for it, so it's turnkey. Yes, David?
You mentioned that there were about 60 of your organization's DMEs.
Yes.
There's, I would assume that generally you try to work within your geographic area, but how far would you go out?
Good question. We go about an hour in every direction. I guess that's the safest answer.
Okay.
So we're into Boston. We go to the coast. We go to Worcester, and we go into southern New Hampshire up to, say, Manchester area. So we're about 1 hour in every direction. That's a comfortable place for us to be able to not overextend ourselves by staying within that. But we do get asked, I mean, on the complex rehab side, we travel quite a ways to help people, because the challenge is that we're working with facilities that are in Boston, a lot of hospitals in Boston, and their patients are from all over. And so when they call us in and they ask us to take care of somebody, we don't want to say no to them, and so we can end up, in Fall River, or we can end up, a lot further out than we thought we would normally go. So, but we do it.
Okay, good.
Do you ever go to assisted livings or skilled nursing homes to help people with diabetic shoes and compression stockings?
Yeah, that's a good question, Angela. We try to work with assisted livings to go in and spend a day there and measure people up for shoes, introduce ADLs, to assisted living products. Yes, we do. We do those events. We'd like to do more, and it's a question of being asked and having the resources to go out and do it. But yes, that's a good question, and it's great. It's great because a lot of people, as you said, Doug, it's not easy for them to get out of the house and to come to us, and so we're happy to go there. It's really hard for us to go and do one at a time. When we first started off, we were able to do that, go to one person's home and do it, but we just don't have the resources to do it any longer. But we'll go to a senior center. We'll go and do a day there and measure people up, and it's interesting. Most people don't know what they're entitled to, and that's probably one of the best things that happens when we go and see a group like that and let them know what is available and what they're entitled to.
Don't they need orders from their doctors?
They do need prescriptions from their doctors, but they don't even know that it's a prescription they can ask for. And they think if they get a pair of diabetic shoes, then that's the only one they're going to get. They don't realize that they can keep getting shoes every other year. So
maybe just tell us, I know you've touched a little bit on the Medicare world, just touch a little bit more on how that works and how the coverage and how that's changed over time.
Sure. Well, what we have now is you have Medicare. You have different parts to Medicare. You have A, B, C, and D. D is the prescription drugs. A is the Medicare that is for people who can't afford to pay a premium. And the one that most of us are familiar with is Medicare Part B, which is premium-based Medicare. But the growing segment of Medicare is Part C. Part C are the Advantage programs, which are the private insurance companies that have contracted with Medicare to handle the Medicare, the growing Medicare population. Right now, that is roughly 1/3 of all Medicare patients are the Medicare Advantage programs, which could be Blue Cross Advantage, Tufts Advantage. There's a value to those, and particularly when it comes to DME, because, as I mentioned, in 2013 there was this competitive bid program which limits us on the Part A and Part B clients from even providing services to them. So if you had Part A or Part B, and you were being discharged from the hospital and you needed a hospital bed, we can't bill on that. Although sometimes we still deliver them because people can't get them. They have a hard time getting them, and so they come to us and we'll rent them to them for the period of time they need it. But if you wanted to have it go through insurance, you just can't get it from us. But if you have the Advantage program, yes, there's no competitive bid on the Advantage programs. So we're still able to service 1/3 of the market for any product that we have. We're not limited, which is a positive thing. I think, when people want to consider, because it is available to every Part B, Part C is available to every Part B recipient, and that's another thing to consider when you're making that decision. Do I want to go with a private insurance company or stay with Medicare? Stay with Medicare. It's more expensive, but you do have, with Medicare Part B, you do have the ability to pretty much go wherever you want to go. That's the biggest limiting factor of the Medicare Advantage programs, is you basically stay within their network of providers. But as anyone with Part B knows, the sky is the limit. You can go to anybody you want to go to, and you can go to 5 people to have the same problem checked and get 5 different opinions, and it's a different world, and it's probably a problem that it exists that way, because it's probably not purposely abused, but it gets expensive for the government when people don't have rules that they have to follow, so to speak.
And do you provide advocacy programs for people who are trying to weave their way through this complex world of both the medical equipment itself and the Medicare and getting it paid for?
We do. A good part of our resources are spent contacting physicians to try and help people get the products that they need, to get the prescriptions, to get them done right. The doctors are under a lot of pressure today. The amount of work that they have to do with every patient that's not actually seeing the patient is crazy. It's ridiculous, and it's a huge contributor to the cost of healthcare. You sometimes feel that there's a mill in there, that when you go into the physician's office, there's 20 people and just going one after another, but for every minute that it's actually spent seeing the patient, there's probably 5 minutes spent doing all the follow-up work. It's a lot, and we participate in that quite a bit. The other part of the advocacy, I would say, that people can do on their own is political. I was in Washington 2 weeks ago for a legislative program for our industry, and visiting. I went to Congresswoman Tsongas's office, and I went to Senator Markey and Senator Warren's office. I actually had a chance to speak to Senator Warren, talk about the issues, and we're not talking about what we need. We're talking about what the patients need, and we hope they listen. You know, we have a new Secretary of Health and Human Services, Tom Price, who's a physician, so he gets it, he understands. The person who's in charge of the Center for Medicare and Medicaid, Seema Verma, is from the Medicaid industry. She was instrumental in the programs they have in Indiana. So, you know, I think we've got some good people there now, but the more people who, you know, if you have an issue with if you're on Medicare or Medicaid and you have an issue with your insurance and getting service and getting whatever that might be, you know, they'll listen to you. Pick up the phone and call Congresswoman Songress's office, or call Senator Warren or Senator Markey's office, and let them know. And the more people that, you know, that share their frustrations and the problems they're having, the more likely there's going to be some change.
I think, I mean, we're clearly experiencing an aging population here in Carlisle, and I think Massachusetts in general, so I assume that affects your industry significantly with more people getting older and in the need of this type of service and equipment.
Yeah, it does. And the big move today is to have people recuperate at home. That's the big move in healthcare. Is it's very expensive to spend a day in a hospital, and they've also found that people recover better and have a better life at home than in a nursing home, certainly, or in a skilled nursing facility. And so the big move today is to get people home, and we're a big part of that. I mean, you know, we make that home environment. We're with a program right now that is actually setting up what you would consider to be a hospital room in people's homes, so that, you know, people who really just need to have some continuous observation, they can stay at home and they can be with their family. And, you know, it's much better for them to be at home than for month on month on month than to be sitting in a facility somewhere. And so it's and it's interesting because this is the move today, but yet they're making it harder and harder and harder to support the move. So it's a challenge. It's a challenge.
Does anybody else have any other additional questions for Bill? Or?
No, I think that's pretty thorough, and we really appreciate you coming.
Oh, no, it's
Bill.
wonderful. I appreciate the opportunity.
Very impressive, too, the amount, the scale of what you do.
Thank you.
I mean, as Angela might have told you, we have a small durable medical equipment program here, and many councils and agings do. But it is, and we're glad, and I think people are grateful for it. But it's limited pretty much by what people donate.
Right.
And occasionally we have the resources. We're lucky to have the resources to buy a piece here or there. But to be honest with you, you know, we're not experts in buying durable medical equipment.
True. And, you know, if somebody needs something temporarily, they need a wheelchair for some transport usage or something like that, that's great. But
Yeah.
if somebody were to approach you with a serious condition, you've
Yeah.
got to be careful.
Yeah, no, that's apparent. I think you're right.
Right. All right. Well, great. Well, thanks for having me today.
Thank
Right,
you
so
very much.
New
Bill.
England Home Medical Equipment right
Yes,
up in
sir.
Chelmsford.
Yeah.
And there's a website if people want to take a look at what you do and the type of
Yeah.
equipment that you offer. And we
Thank
really
you.
do appreciate you coming out
All right.
today, Bill, and wish you the best of luck
All
in
right, great.
your new business.
Thank you very much, Doug. I appreciate that.
All right.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Take care.
All right, well, that was very, very informative, and hope folks at home got something out of it. I learned an awful lot today about what the offerings are, and hopefully we can help some people who are in need of just basic things around the house. With that, I think we'll turn things over to David to talk a little bit about other activities going on in the Council on Aging, and I always eagerly await my monthly newsletter from the Council on Aging. It's some of the biggest reading I do. There's packed full of all kinds of activities for folks here in Carlisle. So take it away, David.
Thank you, Doug. And actually, speaking of the newsletter, we have an announcement for our July, for our summer issue. For years, it's been a dual issue. It's
Right.
been July and August. And 2 years ago, we moved to a dual issue January, February. But now we just have a new contract with our vendor. We're actually going to a bi-monthly newsletter completely. So we'll have 6 issues. There'll be 12 pages, and you're going to be seeing a lot more, as much planning as possible in those two issues. So, what Angela and I are going to try to cover mostly now are the July and August activities, but there are going to be some September and fall activities in here too that are important. On the plus side, last year, or 2 years ago, the vendor started going full color on the front and back pages, but now, starting with the next issue, not the July-August issue, but with the September-October issue, the entire issue is going to be full color, which in our case, because we put a lot of care into the design of the issue, we're really excited to actually have the full color on every page. Anyway, to jump into this, one of the things that we usually review first are our day trips and food events that are outside of Carlisle. And as some people may know, Joanne Willens is one of our trip coordinators traditionally, and Joanne does something called Joanne's Restaurant Reviews, where she takes folks out that would wish to go onto a trip to a local restaurant. And every month there's a new restaurant. So in July, she's returning to Bamboo in Westford. And people who may be interested in going on that trip, it's Wednesday, July 5th. So if you're recovered from Independence Day, you can go on this trip to Bamboo in Westford with Joanne. And the COA van is going to be leaving Village Court at 11 a.m. and Congregational Church at 11:15 and returning at around 2 p.m. The van fee is $2, but you don't have to take the van fee. You can just drive yourself if you feel like it. But either way, if you could call Joanne at 978-371-8023 just to let her know that you'd like to participate, and that would be great. In September, she's taking a trip. I guess she's taking a month off because she's got other trips in July and August. But the following restaurant review will be in the Old Mill Restaurant in Westminster, Massachusetts. Is that a new one for us?
It's a new one for us, but it's an oldie for anybody who lives around here.
Okay, got it. All right, I'm betraying my lack of local restaurants.
My parents, who celebrated their 50-something anniversary recently, had their I think they went on their first date to the Old Mill Restaurant in Westminster just a few years ago. So
it's still really good.
It's a neat place.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yes.
That's impressive. And anyway, we won't go into the details because it's in the newsletter, and that's on Monday, September 11th. There's plenty of time, but I just wanted to kind of get the word out that Joanne tries to pick some interesting places.
She does.
Yeah, and we get feedback from people. We don't just go, and if it's not good, go back. I mean, usually she tries to go back to the places that people really enjoy.
She does a lot of research to pick restaurants.
Right. Give her a lot of credit for that.
Absolutely.
Joanne's leading another trip to Ogunquit, Maine, a popular destination for people here. I like Ogunquit too. And it's going to be held on Tuesday, August 8th. I was about to say 28th, but it's the 8th. She's going to be taking people up to Ogunquit for the day. The van leaves Village Court at 9 a.m. and Congregational Church at 9:15, and is returning around 4 or 5 p.m. And I believe they're going to be stopping for lunch. You might notice that food is often a theme here, Doug. Mm-hmm. And they're going to be stopping at the When Pigs Fly Bakery, or you can lunch at your own. So that should be a great trip.
David, how many people do you typically get at these lunch events?
Well, we can. At the local restaurant reviews, it's under 10 normally.
Yeah, usually around 8 to 10.
Yeah, on these day trips, we could have a full van, and occasionally we've even had 2 vans.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, but it's more cost effective if we can get a full van of people. Sure. Yeah. But people let us know. I mean, if we get immediate registration and we sell out, then we have to start thinking, oh, do we need either a bigger vehicle or another vehicle? But if registrations are really slow, then we usually are kind of aware that one vehicle will be enough.
And sometimes people carpool.
Sometimes people just prefer to drive on their own. In July, though, there's there's 2 trips to the Kennedy Library. One is to the JFK Library. It's a library and museum tour with former curator Frank Rigg, who's a Carlisle resident. And this has been amongst the most successful trips that we've had every summer. Frank just does a fantastic job. Going to the Kennedy Library in and of itself is a really great experience, but having somebody who worked there and really knows the special stories is even better. Angela has been a trip coordinator. I was lucky enough to be a trip coordinator once. I think, did Priscilla go once?
I think so.
Yeah, even our town accountant was a trip coordinator once. So we try to share the love as far as who gets to go on these trips because they're really special.
And this year it's the 100th anniversary of JFK's birth. So
Right.
there's special exhibits. And Frank also takes us behind the scenes to
Sure.
some of the places that a normal person coming into the museum couldn't see.
And then there's the special thing. This is we're going to call this an Angela special because not only do they go to the museum and get this great tour, but then the van will leave there and go to Castle Island and have lunch at Sullivan's or Sully's and walk around Castle Island before coming home. So that's a great day, and it's usually a sellout, I would say,
Yes.
the van.
Yeah, because we only do 10 people for that.
They only do 10, right, yeah. That's Wednesday, August 16th, but before that, there's going to be a trip that Joanne is leading to the Edward M. Kennedy Institute on Wednesday, July 19th. So there's two opportunities to go to the Kennedy Library and the Edward M. Kennedy Institute, and that's this institute that is a replica of the Senate chamber. I've heard it's very good. I haven't been there. And it only opened about, what, 2 years ago? A year and a half?
About that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, so call Joanne, let her know that's a July trip. The JFK Library trip is an August trip. And I'm going to jump over to you because I think you've got a
Okay.
lot of things to talk about, don't you?
We do. As you know, David, we try to feed people and get them talking and enjoying each other's company. So we are going to continue doing senior moments at Ferns through the summer. So July 10th, 24th, August 14th, and 28th at 9:30. Anybody can join us at Ferns. The COA provides the refreshments, and you can buy your own coffee. And a group of people normally attend, and occasionally other people maybe at Ferns and join in because they say, oh, this looks fun. So if you'd like to meet some people, come on down. And they're usually there from 9:30 to 11. On July 11th at Village Court, we're going to have our women's breakfast, and this is something we do about yearly, and it's a potluck. So if you're out there and you would like to join us and like to bring something, please give us a call. We'd love to have you, whether you bring something or not. And then over the summer, we always try to do several events that are intergenerational, and one of them will be on August 2nd with Audubon coming in and bringing some animals. So this is for people of all ages, parents, and can bring their kids and their grandkids, and we just need to know we're going to have sandwiches that we're going to get from Chelmsford Crossing, and they can watch the animal show. And then on July 17th, maybe we can even pull Doug away from his work. We're going to have both Chief Fisher and Chief Flannery stop by for our annual potluck barbecue.
Sounds great.
And so just give us a call, and if people want to bring a side or a dessert, that would be great. But otherwise, we'll be providing the hot dogs and hamburgers. And then on July 20th, we are happy to have Peter Alden come back. Peter's well-known and does work for National Geographic and many other geographical organizations and bird organizations. He does things for Audubon. And he's going to give us a tour of his trip to the Greater Antilles. So that should be a fun show.
He always does such a good job. It's amazing what you can learn.
Yeah, it's like being there. It really is. And then we'll go to the Northeast Correctional Institute on July 27th for one of their delicious meals. And that's always fun to see what the prisoners can put together. And
It says July 26th.
July 26th, excuse me.
Wednesday, July
July
26th.
26th, thank you.
It's amazing how popular that is. I haven't been there, but people just seem to want to go.
Well, the food's delicious. You get
And for
a
$3.21,
right,
how can you
three-course
go wrong?
meal.
Exact change.
I see that.
It's really great. And then we're also doing, in terms of the intergenerational events, 2 more. One is the sensei who teaches our seniors' approach to maintaining agility class on Friday also has 2 JoJos, and she teaches martial arts. And so she's going to bring some of her younger students and do a demonstration for us and the rec department. And the rec department is paying for Susie to show up. And if you haven't experienced Susie, this is a real fun event. She shows up on this huge Harley motorcycle. And then she has this little trailer with the umbrella and the music, and it's an ice cream truck. So we're going to do that at the school on July 12th at 1. Again, please call for registration. And then on July 24th or 25th, if it rains on the 24th, we're going to go to Jeannie Lieb's horse barn and find out about her Arabian horses. And the first hour is a background about the horses and how she got into rescuing them. And that is wonderful for people that want the history and that can sit. But we often have young kids come and they're not so great at sitting for an hour. So they can show up at 11, and we're going to pay for Susie to come to that one. And they can get an ice cream, and then we're going to see a demo of the horses and some of their tricks, and that should be fun. So those are 2 more intergenerational. So again, open to everybody at any age, from babies up. And then we got a request for Charlie cards. So if you're 65 years old or older, you can get reduced rate if you go on the subway. And somebody asked us if we would hold a Charlie card event, so they didn't have to go into downtown Crossing and get their card there. So we're actually holding one later in June and one on July 18th. And this is open to anybody. So if you're 65 or older, whether you live in Carlisle or not. So we already have a few people from Concord signed up to join us, so that we hope people will do. Our walking group will continue through the summer with Helen Young at 9:30 on Thursday mornings. You just meet at Center Park. The drop-in knitting group, which is at the library, which allows you to knit whatever you'd like, is on Friday, July 7th and August 4th. The community book group will meet on July 10th and July 14th, and the books are in our newsletter or on the Gleason website. And on July 6th, and Doug, maybe you can help get the word out for us, we're doing a veterans benefits informational session here in Town Hall, right on this table, on July 6th at 2 p.m. So if you're a veteran and you're not sure what benefits you might be eligible for, please come.
Or even if you know generally what's available but have a specific question, I'm sure
Right.
our speaker, Luce and Maglia, will know of resources.
Absolutely. And we're starting a new program. Rick Pierce offered to start a board game program at the library. So bring your board game that you'd like to play, or show up and play somebody else's board game. So that will be Friday, July 7th at 1. And that is also open to people of all ages. So if you're home for the summer and you're not sure what you'd like to do, stop by and play a board game. And then on August 7th, Pastor Webley is going to do his sing-along, and Visiting Angels will be providing ice cream with Kimball's for our ice cream social and sing-along. And then I think we should probably go over to Betty and find out what the Friends of the Council on Aging have in store for us.
Oh, very busy, very busy. First of all, again, I want to thank all of you for the contributions that you sent in for the Friends. And I'm pleased to say that at our last meeting, we granted a grant to COA for that money that you all sent in, that they use at their discretion, instead of nickel and diming. This is the way we've done it for a few years now.
Yeah, it works very well. We're very appreciative of it. Of course, we'd be very appreciative of receiving the funding in any form, but having it come and knowing that it's there and being able to use it during the year has really worked out well over the years, I think.
Yes. And we will not be meeting until September 13th, but we do have a mechanism in place in that the offices of the Friends, if something comes up in those 2 months, they can pass without the rest of the board, yea or nay. So it's covered all the time. And I'm very excited about what's going to happen in September and October. As you might not know, the Friends of the Council on Aging and the Friends of the Gleason Public Library fund cultural programs together. And this one coming up is particularly apropos in our time. It's a history of the Supreme Court with Gary Highlander, who you all know has been a wonderful speaker. It will be on Wednesday, 9/27, on all Wednesdays, 9/27, 10/18, and 10/25 at 1:30 in the Gleason Public Library, the Hollis Room. There are 3 sessions, and these are interesting. Session 1 is the early years of the court under Justice John Marshall. I read his biography years ago, and it's absolutely fascinating. Session 2 will be the classical courts. This is they'll analyze the thinking of the court from the Gilded Age through the Progressive era, and session number 3 will be the modern courts. And in this final session, they'll explore the history of the court from World War II to present. So it's a very extensive series, and I hope you will all take advantage of it. On the 1st of October, you may start registering for each of the sessions. Again, it's 9/27, 10/18, and 10/25.
No, you can actually start registering August 1st,
What'd I say?
October.
October, no, it's August 1st, sorry.
And you call the library, and
Yes.
for the first time, we're actually asking people to register for each individual session. So you're not signing up for all 3, which
Yes.
is the way they've been done in the past.
And this is good. If somebody's going to be away, then and they know they're going to be away, and they're only going to be able to go to 2 out of the 3, then they register for those 2, and then a spot is open up in the third
Right.
session for somebody else.
Exactly. I think it will allow us to better manage the amount of people that come, because we want to have as many people enjoy this as possible.
How long are it says 1:30, is it a 1 hour or 2 hour?
It's usually about an hour.
About an hour.
Yeah,
That's
he
fair.
takes questions afterwards,
Sure,
but
sure.
I mean,
Sure, it could go on for many hours if there
Right.
weren't a time limit. That's a fascinating subject, and 3
and
great
you heard him
sessions.
speak. He just
Yes, I have,
he is
yep.
just really fascinating to listen to.
Yes, yes.
Thank you, Betty. That's great.
And I did want to mention, in hearing all of these activities that the COA does, these 2 people here have their hands full with volunteers and everything else, and we should be so happy we have such a great staff at COA.
Thank you. That's so nice.
Absolutely.
Nice of you to say. It's a great community to work in.
Well, we're very lucky to have as many people as we have as volunteers, such as Doug and Abba, who's on our board, who's recording today, and Betty and the rest of the Friends and all of the board members and the people who help with friendly visiting, friendly driving, who help with Meals on Wheels delivery, so many things that we couldn't do without all the volunteers that we have.
And it's very much fun to volunteer. So any of you out there that are far away from your neighbors and want something to do that benefits you and your community, call Angela and volunteer.
Or call one of the board chairs, because both the Friends Board and the COA Board each year are looking for new members. I know on the COA Board, our last board meeting for the fiscal year is tonight, and we have 4 board members who are going to be leaving, and several of them have been with us for many years, and I'm sure they'll still volunteer, but it's a little poignant to not have them on the board anymore. And but so we're always looking for new people, and you don't have to be a senior. I mean, as you can tell, we were involved with the library and a lot of different aspects of life in Carlisle.
And although you do have to live in Carlisle to be on the board, you don't need to live in Carlisle to be a volunteer. We have a lot of members who are volunteers that live in Chelmsford. We have people that live in Concord that volunteers for us because they started to come to some of our events and felt like they liked what we did, so they've become our volunteers.
That's great.
Yeah.
So we're lucky about that.
Yeah, about 15 to 20% of the people that come to our events are actually from out of town, and a lot of them are ex-Carlisle residents, so it's understandable. I should correct myself. On our COA board, there is a rule that more than 50% of the board needs to be age 60 or over, but that means that the rest of them can be under age 60. So there's plenty of opportunities no matter your age.
I heard, David, recently that 60 is the new 40.
Yes, that's right. We hope so, Doug.
We certainly do.
Yeah.
We certainly do. So any other, we're almost out of time, any other announcements or things that we didn't touch on?
Well, we've just got our regular stuff. We've got our exercise programs, but Angela's got marked if time here on a couple of these things. So just a couple hold the date events. We've got a trip to the Museum of Fine Arts that Joanne Willens is going to lead, and that's Tuesday, September 19th. So if you're an MFA lover, you can put September 19th on your calendar. Also, the Carlisle Community Chorus is looking for some new singers, some new voices for this fall, and they're going to start their practices. They have 2 open rehearsals, September 11th and 18th. I've participated. It's really a great event. And people, again, of all ages, from age 10 and up, can participate in the chorus. Another cultural event, a lecture on Buddhism and Zen with Dr. Giannetti. I've never seen him speak, but you can probably speak a little bit more to how good a speaker he is.
He, like Gary Highlander, has a whole audience that are enthralled with him. He is very down to earth, and he can take religion and make it so easy to understand and so interesting, and he's animated, and he really gets you to understand, and he can make it simple. He's just amazing. So people that have come to the lectures with him very, very much want to see him come back.
Great.
So as we wind down here, I would like to thank you for all of those announcements. And like I said, every time I look at this newsletter, there's something for everyone here, and a lot of great intergenerational activities, which I know we talked about last time, the importance of keeping our entire community connected, both young people and older folks, and keeping everybody here. One of my wishes and goals as a member of the Board of Selectmen was always to keep Carlisle a livable community, not just for young people, but for people in their family homes for many years. And I think through the Council on Aging we do that, and it was great to have Bill here today talking about ways that people can stay in their homes with various pieces of equipment and support that they might need. So thank you all very much for everything you do. I've always felt that every dollar that we gave to the Council on Aging was the biggest bang for the buck, because we get so much and so many great programs from you folks. So we do appreciate it, and it's an expanding segment of our population here that are served very well with like I said, a great variety of activities. So. With that, I wish everybody a great summer. There's a quote here in your newsletter that I'm going to borrow as we close out here. That's summer afternoon. To me, those have always been the 2 most beautiful words in the English language. So hopefully everybody enjoys the beautiful weather and has a great summer.